ultra-processed food. And a paper just came out showing that sweetener consumption correlates with dementia. And we think we know why.
And you've not talked about this publicly yet?
No, let's talk.
Dr. Robert Lustig is a world-leading sugar expert
who's teaching the world how to reclaim their health from the industry that profits off your vulnerabilities.
73% of the items in the American grocery store are poisoned because sugar is hidden in all the foods. For instance, there's 262 names for sugar, and the food industry uses all of them because they knew when they add it, you buy more. But the problem is, and it's providing people with a dopamine hit, and that dopamine is addictive. And that's when you actually have a biochemical and medical problem. And we have data to show that ultra-processed food has been associated with dementia, diabetes, cancer, every single mental health disease. So the question is, how can you buy healthy food and not be tempted by the bad stuff? So first, if a food has a label, it's a warning label. The second thing, if any food has a sugar in the first 3 ingredients, it's dessert. And then when they go to the store, don't go hungry.
And what about exercise?
Well, it doesn't really impact your desire to reach for sugar. It has its own metabolic benefits. But if you think exercise is going to make you lose weight, you are deluded. And we can talk about that.
So with all of this in mind, if I've got a sugar problem or if I've got an addiction problem, what is the remedy?
I will tell you that this is one of the things I did in my obesity clinic. So the only way you're going to be able to fix the problem is
I see messages all the time in the comment section that some of you didn't realize you didn't subscribe. So if you could do me a favor and double check if you're a subscriber to this channel, that would be tremendously appreciated. It's the free thing that anybody that watches this show frequently can do to help us here, to keep everything going in this show in the trajectory it's on. So please do double check if you subscribed. And thank you so much, because in a strange way, you're part of our history and you're on this journey with us. And I appreciate you for that. So yeah, thank you.
Dr. Robert, good to have you back.
Oh, my pleasure.
I am particularly fascinated by this term, hostage brain. I know you're in the early stages of working on a book about this subject, but for anyone that doesn't understand, so when I look at this word, the hostage brain, I think of all the times that I've been out of control. And when I say out of control, I'm going to let you define it, but when I say out of control, I mean there's so many things I want to do as it relates to my health, my fitness, other aspects of my life, whether it's avoiding eating the cookie at 2 a.m. in a hotel room somewhere, or other areas of my life where I want to have greater elements of control. What do you mean by the hostage brain?
All of us want to be in control, Stephen. I mean, it's the nature of humanity. We want to be in control. We want to be in control of our lives. Unfortunately, many of us want to be in control of everyone else's lives, as we've seen play out on grand stages lately. Okay, everyone wants to be in control. And the reason we want to be in control is because then we can mitigate threat. When you're in control, then threat is low because you're in control. Problem is, we're not in control. The more in control, the more a specific area of your brain is basically glomming on. And that area of the brain is known as the amygdala. The amygdala is your fear center. It's also your 24-hour sentry. But really what the amygdala is, it's the point guard on your basketball team. Okay? So it surveys the entire court, sees the offense and the defense, and has to make split-second decisions. Who's going to score? Now, a lousy point guard takes all the shots. A good point guard passes off to the guy who has the best shot. A great point guard is going to be able to figure out if he's going to score or if he's going to pass it off to somebody else. If you're in control, okay, your level of threat goes down. But really, your control is an illusion. You really don't have control. And the more you try to exert it, the more you realize you're not in control. And what that does is that generates an enormous amount of stress and an enormous amount of pain. Now, that pain can turn inward, and we call that depression. And right now, 29% of Americans are depressed, and 4.4% of the entire world is depressed. These numbers were infinitesimal a generation ago. And they are basically, pushing up further and further. And the reason is because of this inappropriate illusion of control. and it's causing an enormous amount of pain. How do you mollify that pain? How do you basically deal with the psychological pain of lack of control that you yourself put upon yourself? Well, we have loads of ways. Cocaine, amphetamine, nicotine, alcohol, sugar, gambling, social media, internet gaming, pornography. Pick your poison. That's dopamine. Dopamine basically provides you with a little bit of pleasure on top of a whole lot of pain. The problem is that dopamine is addictive. And so when you apply a set of pleasures to try to deal with your pain of lack of control, that puts you into a never-ending cycle of consumption and misery. That's the hostage brain.
What do I need to understand about dopamine in order to, because I think sometimes awareness is step one in being able to do something about a problem that you might have. So what do I need to understand about what dopamine is and what it's doing in my brain and how it's sort of associated with addiction to then be able to do something about it, which I consider step two?
So dopamine basically has two functions. The first is learning. There's no learning without dopamine. Anytime you learn something, whether it's positive or negative, it's because there was a dopamine release. When you put your hand down on a hot stove when you were 3 years old and went, I'm never doing that again, okay, that was dopamine that did that. Okay, and what it did was it went to your amygdala and it rewired it. That was a rewiring of your amygdala due to the excitatory neurostimulus of that dopamine affecting an area of your brain called the basolateral amygdala. Okay? And it laid down and it set up a circuit, and that circuit is still working in you right now. Okay? So dopamine is the learning neurotransmitter. It can be for negative learning, it can be for positive learning. Either way. Dopamine is also, when it's going to another area of the brain called the nucleus accumbens, which is the reward center, that is a stimulus for reward. That is the motivation for reward. That is, in one word, foreplay. Okay? That is the excitement, the reason for continuing any given behavior. Okay? You get both out of dopamine. Okay? And in short, small bursts in the right venue, that's how we navigate life. We navigate it through learning and we navigate it through reward. You can't do it without dopamine. Dopamine is good, unless it's bad. And as you know, everything in science is both good and bad. The problem is chronic overstimulation of any neuron leads to neuronal cell death. Dopamine is a chronic stimulator. And so if you have chronic dopamine being released, what's going to happen is you're going to kill the next neuron. Now, that neuron doesn't want to die. So it downregulates the receptors for dopamine so that it's less likely that one dopamine over here is going to find the receptor over here to bind to because there are fewer of them. So what this means is more and more for less and less. And we call that phenomenon tolerance. More dopamine, more tolerance. So the law of diminishing returns. So you get a hit, you get a rush.
Could be a sugar, alcohol, whatever it might be.
Pick your
pornography. Yeah.
Pick your poison. Doesn't matter. You get a hit, you get a rush, receptors go down. Next time you need a bigger hit to get the same rush, receptors go down, and then you need a bigger hit and a bigger hit and a bigger hit until finally you get a huge hit to get nothing. That's called tolerance. And then when the neurons actually start to die, that's called addiction. So tolerance is the start of addiction. And the problem is more dopamine, more tolerance, more addiction.
So people that are getting addicted to unhealthy foods and sugars and those kinds of things, what's like going on in their brain?
So at first, the first time they taste it, you know, whatever it is, whether it's a Fruit Loop or a candy corn or Frappuccino, or pick your poison. You get this big, sugar bomb going off in your head, and you go, "Wow, this is great! I want some more of this."
And what is
and
that
then you
sugar
down
bomb?
the whole Frappuccino, okay? And what you've done is you've basically hit your nucleus accumbens with a big slug of dopamine, and you go, "Wow, that was great." And then an hour later, it's gone, and then you go, "God, I need that again." Okay? So the first time you got it, you liked it. The second time you did it, you wanted it. And the third time, you needed it. So that's the difference between liking and wanting and needing. Okay? Because liking, we all do. And no one wants to take away liking. Wanting gets into problems because you can abuse things. Needing is when you actually have a biochemical and medical problem.
So with all of this in mind, if I've got a sugar problem or if I've got an addiction problem, I'm addicted to insert poison, what is the remedy? Just avoid it for a while? And then if that is the remedy, what's going on in my brain? Is it fixing itself?
There are many remedies, okay? And they can all be used in conjunction with each other. Ultimately, the only thing that's going to work is getting those dopamine receptors back up. Remember, I told you dopamine downregulates its own receptor. The only way you're going to be able to fix the problem is for the dopamine receptors to come back up. There's a trend going on right now out in Silicon Valley you may have heard of called dopamine fasting. Okay?
Yeah, I've heard the word.
Basically, people lock themselves up in a hotel room for 3 weeks. Okay, don't take a shower, and basically, take the TVs out of the room, and try to commune with themselves and with nature, with no stimuli, with no external stimuli, in order to bring their dopamine receptors back up. Particularly true of cocaine addicts because their dopamine receptors are way down because, after all, cocaine is a dopamine reuptake inhibitor. So it's flooding the zone with dopamine. Therefore, those receptors are, down in the sewer. Now, do you have to be that severe? No, of course not. But does it work? It takes 3 weeks. You want to do it for 3 weeks? Yeah, then it works. Other ways. You can wean yourself off. You can do abstinence. And if you can do abstinence, that's a good idea. Hard to do, especially when it's, staring at you and when it's available 24/7, 365, like sugar is. It's everywhere. It's on every street corner.
When I fast or when I do the ketogenic diet, I lose my apparent cravings.
That's right. Exactly right. And the reason is because no sugar in a ketogenic diet. So you're basically removing the offensive stimulus.
I was so shocked. I love those cinnamon roll things. Not that I probably one every 2 years, but I love them nonetheless. I'm like a big admirer, even though we don't have a relationship anymore. And when I did the ketogenic diet for I was 4 weeks in of not having any sugar or carbohydrates, and I walked up to this concession in Cape Town with all these amazing cinnamon rolls. They're like specialists. And I looked at them and there was zero part of my brain that was interested in any of it. Zero part of my brain. And I was like, wow, my brain has been like rewired or something just because I've removed sugar from my diet.
Yeah. It happens, but it takes a while. It's not something that, you can turn on and off. Okay.
Yeah.
It takes a fair amount of time. I will tell you that, this is one of the things I did in my obesity clinic, on a daily basis, was getting people off their sugar addiction.
How did you
And
do that?
sometimes you have to basically babysit them. You have to, work with them and work with their parents in order to, basically turn over the entire pantry. Because the sugar is hidden in all the foods, there are 262 names for sugar, and the food industry uses all of them. This is why we are trying to get sugar addiction and ultra-processed food addiction codified by the WHO and by the American Psychiatric Association as a bona fide diagnosis so that we can get remediation and therapy for people.
One of the things that was one of the most popular parts of our conversation last time, Robert, was there's a section where we talked about the different types of sugar and Diet Cokes and Coke Zeros and all these kinds of things. You know, I can see a couple of cans on the desk over there where Jack is, in the darkness that I can vaguely see. And these cans of fizzy drink, they all have some kind of sugar substitute.
Yep.
Are those sugar substitutes harmless?
No, of course not. A paper just came out like 3 days ago in Annals of Neurology, basically showing that non-nutritive sweetener consumption, so diet sweetener consumption, correlates with dementia. And we think we know why.
Why?
Reactive oxygen species, so oxygen radicals, little chemicals that are given off from various substances that cause changes in energy metabolism in cells and also cause damage in cells. ROSs, reactive oxygen species. The famous ones are aspartame and sucralose. Now, do monk fruit extract, do stevia, does allulose also cause reactive oxygen species? I very specifically looked for data on those, could not find it. But for aspartame and for sucralose, the two biggest ones that are available today, the ones that are used in a lot of diet drinks, huge amounts of ROS generation.
ROS?
So, reactive oxygen species generation. So anything that generates ROSs contributes to dementia.
Is the evidence strong at this stage?
Yeah, it's pretty darn strong. I'm actually giving a talk about this next week in San Diego.
I heard you've got a new theory on the causes of Alzheimer's dementia that's somewhat linked. This is it.
This is it, yeah.
Can you explain that to me? And you've not talked about this publicly yet. You're set to
not
talk
yet.
about it in a couple of days, I hear.
Let me take it back a step, okay? There's this organelle inside our brains called mitochondria. You've heard of mitochondria.
Yeah.
For your audience, mitochondria are the little energy-burning factories inside each of our cells. What they do is they take food energy and turn it into the chemical energy that your cell can actually use to power itself. Okay? And that chemical energy has a name. It's called ATP. Now, if you took biology in high school, you've heard of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. The energy is in the phosphate bonds. So ATP will give up its energy and go to ADP, diphosphate, which will then give up its energy and go to AMP, monophosphate, which will then finally go to adenosine. And adenosine binds to the adenosine receptor and makes you go to sleep. Mm-hmm. By the way, that's where caffeine works. It blocks the adenosine receptor, keeping you awake so that the adenosine can't bind to the adenosine receptor. Okay? So that ATP is the currency of the cell. That's what makes the cell run. Anything that depletes ATP is going to put the cell at risk. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because it doesn't have the energy it needs to run.
Yeah, it's gasoline.
It's like gasoline. So what happens when you start running out of gasoline? Well,
you break down.
You'll break down. So brain fog, difficulty concentrating, irritability, and ultimately all the way to depression. So the amount of ATP within any given neuron is the proximate cause of neuronal dysfunction that we see as neurocognitive and neurobehavioral change. Now, how do mitochondria and how do ROSs fit into this? Mitochondria make ATP. But every time they make ATP, they also make ROSs. There are 11 steps in mitochondria, and they all give off ROSs. Now, those ROSs are going to damage the cell. They have to be gotten rid of. They're like toxic fumes. They got to be gotten rid of. And so we have a pathway in each cell of our body to get rid of the toxic ROSs. Okay? They're called antioxidants, like glutathione, vitamin E, vitamin C, a host of other flavonoids. Okay? Those basically quench those reactive oxygen species, they go to die. If you do that, then the ROSs basically just get funneled away and all is well and the cell can keep working. But if for some reason those antioxidants aren't up to par, if, for instance, you've been eating ultra-processed food and you can't make your antioxidant complement, then the ROSs feed back. And what happens is the ROSs are basically telling the cell, hey, you're shunting too much energy down this pathway because I can't clear them. So there's too much stuff. So shut it down. And so what happens is that instead of funneling the glucose into the mitochondria to generate more ATP, it diverts it and it goes off into other directions like glycogen, which is in the brain is not good, or fat, which is even worse.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Let's back to the beginning, and we will minimize everything, and we will start to talking about what they are actually. So discussing about. So in this first time I've been watching this, it's really I love the fact that they've been talking about how and our body is working. So, he's a professor, he's a doctor. He's been talking about how, the government, everything else has been, and they have been lying us about the sugar thing. He said almost like 100,000 of the names. So after the sugar, they will already put, and so we need to be more careful about eating the sugar. And he mentioned that and the exercising. So it will never help you to lose weight, and everybody who thinks like that, they're losing it. So you need to control your dopamine and other sections. So okay, let's rewatch it again, like 5 and 10 seconds, so we will and recall actually and write down everything and try to remember it and try to make sentences every single one of this new words. Okay, let's be honest. Let's start going in. Let's dive in. Okay, so here I am. Okay, I need this. So I cannot really skip this so quickly. And okay, let's open the ChatGPT. Why? Because it will help me to collect all of the vocabularies here. And while I'm here, oh, I know this one. Okay, let's go. So
I think we know why.
And you
let's start from.
People say, oh, Alzheimer's is genetic.
People say all Alzheimer's is genetic. I don't know. I don't know what's the Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's. Oh, Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's disease symptoms causes. Alzheimer's disease is the biological process that begins with appearance, build up the protein in the form of blood plaques and neurofibrillary. Okay, I just want to know more about this illness. So let's start. Talk to me about it. Of course, Alzheimer's disease is clinically. Alzheimer's disease (AD) is a progressive brain disorder that slowly destroys memory, thinking skills, eventually the ability to carry out of simple tasks. Its most common cause dementia, accounting to for 60 or 80% of dementia cases. What it happens in the brain and Alzheimer's to abnormal protein structures build up in the brain amyloid plaques and sticks clumps of protein fragments that accumulate between nerve cells. Neurofibrillary tangles twist fibers on another protein, tau, and that form inside brain cells. These disturb communication between neurons, cause inflammation, eventually lead to cell death. Over time, brain regions responsible for memory, hippocampus, language thinking, cerebral cortex shrink significantly, a process called atrophy. Older stage forgetting names, appointments, recent events, difficult finding words, losing track of time or place, mood changes, strokes, anxiety, middle stage, increasing confusion, problem recognizing families, friends. I'm studying, bro. Difficult managing money and personal care. Self disturbance or wandering. Loss of ability to speak or walk. Whoa! I have an illness, bro. And a complete dependence on caregivers, major personality changes, difficult swallowing, risk factors, age, difficult every 5 years after. Oh. Okay, is it possible? Do I have this kind of illness or something like that? But yeah, because it's something like exactly, the thing is happening in my brain in my daily life because I don't know why. Alzheimer's disease is AD, as I mentioned before. So the main reason is it's really the frying our burning in our brain. So mostly I forget about the names and the places. I don't really forget about the numbers because I'm really good at. But it says losing a track of time. It means just sometimes you don't know what I'm doing, where you're going, and this kind of stuff is may happen. And if you have this disease, so I don't have this part, and I do have difficulty to remember new words. And apparently, but I do repeat like over time, and I do make sentences based on them, using them. So maybe it's really not really causing that much damage. So, but I have read about in what ages can be, the more visible uh, in in people's mind and the brain. It's a 65. It says 65. After the 65, every 5 years it's going to be more visible. Is it right? But so I'm 22 23 years old boy. I appreciate be careful how careful you're thinking about this, and we'll be describing our experiences actually very thoughtful and self-aware. Let's go through the journal. Well, above this is based on what you're describing, is there is sometimes forgetting names, losing track of time, but still remember numbers, learning new words, functioning independently. It doesn't sound like Alzheimer's disease. What you experience is actually very common, especially younger people, stressed, multitasking a lot, and not sleeping enough. Kind of forgetfulness usually comes from fatigue, stress, anxiety, overworking, burnout, lack of focus, personal efficiency. Your about things ultimate this is usually starts after the 65 and risk roughly doubles every 5 years after that. This is a type of called early onset of but usually appears between 30 and 60 years. All the cases genetics has strong symptoms like major disorientation, personal changes. Okay, I know this what's really causing because that's not disease that I have. It's not really illness or some kind of the situation, and like a symptom. If I'm not mistaken, I'm and I've been working for two jobs, for two companies as a engineer, and I've been working sometimes, in order to make, and meet the deadlines, and I do need to work on like extra heavy workloads and long hours, so it may really causing this kind of damage in my brain. And sometimes I do need to skip some of the days in the week, like not to sleep, and like 2 or 3 days I don't really sleep well. I didn't for this week, and in order to because there is a result, and I'm feeling worn out and anxiety, depressed, and so that's why a lack of sleep. Due to lack of sleep, I struggle to speak in my the original my local language, and my my mother tongue. Like in Uzbek language, even though in Uzbek language it's sometimes it's too difficult to explain myself, because it's more appropriate if I talk in English. So, and most I wouldn't really stop or hesitate while I'm doing it. So I think that's a reason. That's the reason that I am have in this situation symptom. An engineer, no. Make, no. Deadlines, need. Hours, really be. Brain, sometimes. Weak, sleep, and because, and that's. Sleep, my, and. Oh, there is big. So most of the time, no. Because that I don't have. Oh, I know it. I knew it. Everything you described is perfectly. That's what happens. When someone is overworked or underslept and mental overload, well, not with Alzheimer's or another degenerative brain disease. Let's just think what's going on, because your explanation shows you understand your situation very well. Well, what's happening in your brain when you work well long hours, skip sleeps, and juggles multiple jobs? Your brain enters a kind of survival mode. It prioritizes urgent tasks, shuts down non-essential functions like memory recall, focus on language fluidity. It's how that plays sleep deprivation in your brain, and sleep deprivation it's a meaning lack of sleep. Because of the sleep deprivation, most of the people have, that 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 type of symptoms. They lose the track of time, and lose the ability to speak fluently, even their native language. The stress hormones, mental overload, language confusion. Why you're feeling you're not losing intelligence, or maybe you're temporarily exhausted. I'm really exhausted. The symptoms: forgetting small things, makes languages difficult to speak, fluently types, mental burnout, sleep deprivation, not Alzheimer's. Okay, sleep first, hydrate, eat right, take short walks, limit caffeine and light in life, schedule the full rest. Okay, I'm going to talk to this guy.
Garbage. That genetic component is only 5%. So that
That genetic component, the component, what does it mean? It's a part of the something. It's a component. Yes, component. Like the component. Component. Yes. Component. It's a part of the element. Yeah, I know this. I know this. I know this. The part of the element, larger whole, especially part of the machine or vehicle, as assembly plant imported components. Do not forget about our laptop. We need to fix it right away before my mom return to home, return home. So I mentioned that never forget about like essential components to fix their laptop before my mom arrives. Okay, that's awesome. The components is a part of the things is more essential. Machine and maybe technology, this kind of things could happen.
Component.
Component. Okay. Oh, in this part we've been talking about the component. Yeah, here it is so awesome. So until 20 minutes we need to recall everything. Just mention that. Okay. Okay, that's awesome. So let's move on to the next one. No, 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 no. Don't do this.
That means 95% of Alzheimer's risk is environmental, air pollution.
Risk environmental, air pollution. We've been talking about a lot. Risk environment. Risk is environmental, air pollution. We've been reading the articles about environmental problems and environmental air pollution. What's really causing to air pollution is, and how people are really unaware of their actions and what they're doing to nature in today's world is so changing. Even even though they some of some people who are aware of the how the nature is changing, they don't really can stop and unable to stop this kind of environmental air pollution. And okay,
Microplastics.
microplastics or microplastics, if I'm not mistaken, it's just the thing. Microplastic. Oh, microplastics. The microplastic smaller than 5 millimeter that pervasive environmental pollutants entering oceans. So then, oh, I don't know what's the new word. Yeah, new word.
Pervasive.
Pervasive. So I do remember that pervasive, present, noticeable is every part of the things. The influence of fraud is pervasive in her books. A pervasive swallow. Oh, it's a present. Pervasive. Okay. They can be primarily manufactured the small size of products like cosmetics or secondary. Let's talk about. Let's talk about
Hey
microplastics.
there, what's up?
Let's talk about microplastics. Are you aware of what's microplastics? Are you fucking stupid?
Yes, I'm familiar with microplastics. They are extremely small pieces of plastic, less than 5 millimeters in diameter. They come from various sources, like the breakdown of larger plastic items or as tiny beads in some products. Are you interested in learning more about their impact or how they end up
Yes,
in
yes, yes, yes. Yes, I'm really interested in microplastic. If I've read about how what's really working. So in this part, on Google, it says the microplastic is just a 5 millimeters, the actual size, and sometimes they will be they will be they found in oceans and the rivers. So it's basically uh, comes from comes from the cosmetics and this kind of stuff. So is it right?
Yes, that's correct. Microplastics are indeed those tiny plastic pieces, often less than 5 millimeters, and they are found in environments like oceans and rivers, coming from various sources, including the breakdown of larger plastics and sometimes from certain cosmetic products. Is there anything else you'd like to know about them?
Okay, yes, I want because I'm just watching a YouTube video called "Number One Sugar Expert Thinks This Diet Kills Your Sugar Cravings Completely." Yes, I'm just watching it, and I want to analyze it fully, and I'm recording it how it's going to end. So in this part is he mentioned the microplastics. Oh, what can cause these tiny things so much harm to our environmental the problem? Eh,
Microplastics can cause several problems in the environment. They persist in the environment.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's dive in again, and uh, I need to be more, the silence because of my voice so loud, and my roommates are complaining about me.
Microplastics can cause several problems in the environment because they don't break down easily and can persist for a long time. This means they can accumulate in ecosystems and potentially be ingested by wildlife, leading to various negative effects. Is there a specific environmental impact you're interested in?
So it means if they are not really break down easily, and even they're in the ocean, so it may cause what kind of harmful things like uh, imagine I'm just doubting about I'm just thinking so the fishes are eat this kind of microplastics, then it really caused some kind of illness instead of them. And then it is it harmful? I don't know, maybe did that catch. So what's really causing the small things, so much the damage?
Yes, unfortunately, marine animals, including fish, often mistake microplastics for food and ingest them. This can cause physical harm, like blocking their digestive systems, and potentially expose them to toxins that can be carried by the plastic. These toxins can then move up the food chain. Are you interested in learning more about that process?
I'm really interested in. So there are a lot of stuff is just been discussing, and I do now it's just I have an idea. So even in IELTS, the topic, if I see in the future like writing, the even the speaking, some kind of reading, I do now understand what's the microplastic, and I could explain it without hesitation. I would say so. Yes, unfortunately, uh, and even though it doesn't really break down easily, there's kind of microplastics that comes from the cosmetics and this kind of things. And so even in the time, so if the fish is about to eat all the microplastics, and that really cause them to block their digestive system and cause a lot of huge damage, like to most of the time they sort of wiped out, or maybe like physically harm. They might actually you know make their toxins by plastic, the toxin that can be carried by plastic, these toxins can move up to the food chain, and yes, food chain, and if the people eat that, so they would get sick as well.
You're correct. When fish ingest microplastics, it can indeed block their digestive systems and cause physical harm. The toxins that can be carried by these plastics can also move up the food chain if other animals consume the contaminated fish. This is one of the main concerns about microplastic contamination in the environment.
Oh, there are different type of enzymes, the new words. I could not really
Ultra
find
processed food. And a
It
ultra
is possible.
processed food. Let's talk about ultra processed food.
Oh, okay. Ultra processed foods are foods that have been highly changed from their original state, often with the addition of things like sugar, salt, fats, and preservatives. Would you like to know more about what makes them ultra processed?
Um, okay, let me describe it. And for me, it's the processed food, meaning that so it's just made by a lot of fat, carbohydrates, you know, uh, very like way too much, the calories in it, and with the oil, like maybe unhealthy oils. The most of the time they use like chips, cookies, cracker, instant noodles, sodas, energy drinks, flour meals, sweetened juices, burgers, hot dogs, chicken nuggets, fries, sugary cereals, instant oatmeal packets, frozen pizza, ready meals, sauces, soups, candy, chocolates, bars, ice cream, protein bars, flavored yogurts, artificial meats, and substitutes.
Yes, you've named a lot.
So then,
So, they're often rich in things like added sugars, salts, unhealthy fats, and artificial ingredients, while being low in beneficial things like fiber and nutrients. This makes them easy to enjoy, but not very nutritious. Are you interested in learning about their health effects?
and as I'm aware of about these kind of ultra processed foods, and often the and can lead that often can lead to diabetes, obesity, and these kind of illnesses may have the effect on people's lifestyle. They mostly, especially the man, so they it really caused damage to the hormones, and especially the testosterone that can the testosterone level is going to down and down to earth, and these kind of foods really made them unhealthy, and yeah, because of our hectic lifestyles and like over like working overload. So yes, this kind of stuff is caused because most of the people, they don't really care about how they eat, what they eat, and the main thing is
Yeah.
it is the main thing is more essential is, so if it's really the keeping them the just full, that's it.
Filling and delicious, ultra processed foods can be designed to be highly appealing. However, they often lack the necessary nutrients and fiber to provide long lasting satisfaction and sustained energy. Is there something specific you'd like to know about their nutritional content?
And what's exactly fiber? And I've heard many times like fiber, what is this fiber? It is what is, or something like that. What is a fiber? So how we describe it fiber? So is it something that that is it really nutrition that something contains in nutritional foods like veggies, fruits, and other type of healthy, the things.
Fiber is a type of carbohydrate found in plant foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes. Unlike other carbohydrates, your body can't fully digest it. Instead, it helps regulate your digestive system, can help control blood sugar levels, and can be beneficial for heart health. Is there anything specific you'd like to know about how it works?
Yes, I'm really interested how our my body works and what's really need to survive, and with a very, and I need to support my, actually to feed my body with full of nutritious foods and meals, especially veggies and fruits. I love veggies and fruits. I've never actually, and actually,
That's a great
yes. Okay, talk please.
Veggies and fruits are indeed an important part of a healthy, nutritious diet. They provide essential vitamins, minerals, and fiber, which are crucial for supporting your body's various functions and keeping you healthy. Are you interested in specific nutrients found in fruits and vegetables?
No, let's keep the watching and our the podcast, and let's dive in.
Paper just came out showing that
And it said,
Certainly.
sweetener consumption correlates with dementia. And
You
we
got it. Just let me know when you're ready to dive back in.
so we have a new vocabulary. Consumption correlates with dementia.
Consumption correlates with dementia. This phrase suggests that there's a relationship between the level of consumption of something and the likelihood of developing dementia. It doesn't necessarily mean that the consumption causes dementia, but that there's an association there. Does that make sense?
No, I don't really understood what's really meant. Like conception, what's the meaning, and correlates? What does it mean? And dementia, no idea.
Let me break it down. Consumption is the act of using or eating something. Correlates means that there's a relationship between two things. They happen together. And dementia is a medical condition that affects memory and thinking skills. So the phrase suggests that there's a link between the amount of something being consumed and the chances of having dementia. Like if you consume more of A, you might have a higher chance.
Okay, continue, please.
I can't tell what it refers to from the phrase alone. Consumption correlates with dementia just means there's a link between the use of some substance or activity and the chances of having dementia. Do you know what consumption they are referring to?
And consumption patterns like high intake of ultra processed foods, processed meats, and sugary drinks are linked to increased dementia risk, while balanced diet with whole foods, lean meats, heart-healthy fats may reduce it. Excessive alcohol consumption is associated with a higher risk of dementia, particularly Korsakoff syndrome. Through the moderate consumption might be acceptable. Foods with beverage linked to increased risk: ultra-processed foods like packaging snacks, sugary soda foods, processed meats, and sugary beverage, excessive alcohol. Uh, okay, now I understood. It means that actually they measure that type of illness and symptom. So consumption, it means that eating, like consuming something, consuming what kind of thing we are consuming, like we are consuming fast foods and this kind of stupid things. And correlates, it means it's the bridge. With the, like it's a bridge to to connect ultra processed foods we are eating, and plus the and plus it's just causing dementia. It's a bridge. Is it right?
Yes, you're right. When people say consumption correlates with dementia, they're suggesting that there's a link, a bridge between the amount of certain foods, like ultra processed foods, someone eats, and the chances of having dementia. It doesn't necessarily mean the foods cause dementia, but that there's a connection there. Does that clarify things for you?
Yes, awesome. Let's dive into next words they're about to say.
I think we know why.
And you've not talked about this publicly yet.
Great.
No,
I'm
let's
ready when you
talk.
are.
Dr.
Just tell me the next words they say.
Robert Lustig is a world-leading
Oh, I've been watching about Dr. Robert Lustig. It's a world leading
sugar expert.
Who's teaching
sugar expert.
Okay, you're watching a video about Dr. Robert Lustig, a sugar expert. Got it. What else is being discussed?
I've been watching Police and Wait, and I will just repeat what are they saying after them, so you can just catch what's all about.
That sounds like a good plan. Just tell me what they say, and I'll do my best to follow.
the world how to reclaim their health.
What was the name meaning reclaim? Reclaim.
Yes, that's right. Reclaim means to get something back that was lost or taken. It can mean to recover it or to bring it back to its former state. Does that make sense?
Like, who's teaching the world to reclaim their health? It means to return, to beg a food. Yeah, there is the idiom kind of that's similar to this point, to this word, if I'm not mistaken, like back to food, if I'm not mistaken. Is it right? Like begging the food, my feet. Oh.
That idiom, back to the drawing board, usually means to start from the beginning after failing or realizing something was wrong. It's not quite the same as reclaim their health, which means to get your health back. Are you asking if there is a similar phrase for reclaiming food?
Yeah, like
In that
to
case,
return back the feet, if I'm not mistaken, there's just something like resilient. It's resilient. I've learned a lot of vocabularies. Sometimes you forget what's the no until you see until you see it on something. Like if I'm reading the article, if I see that word and that the bingo, it clicks, and I recall the full vocabulary, what's really actually meaning, and everything goes well at that point.
it can be helpful to see words in context to remember their meaning. Are you asking if resilience is a similar word to reclaim?
No. Sorry. See, can you see? No, and idioms. And let me just reclaim synonyms and idioms. Reclaim is a powerful meaning take back something. Oh, to back something lost or taken. To restore better state, it means to reclaim, to regain control once. Getting something back, taking control again, healing or improving emotional personal growth. Take back control, get back on track. Oh, yes. Get back on track. I was about to say get back on track.
You've got it. Reclaim means to get something back, to take control again, or to restore something to a better state. Did you have another vocabulary word in mind?
Yeah, there are tons of vocabulary I've been learning, like 1,000 plus the vocabularies I do review daily basis.
That's impressive. Reviewing vocabulary regularly is a great way to build your knowledge. Is there a specific topic or type of vocabulary you're focusing on right now?
We mostly actually teacher. My teacher is just to actually send articles. So about everything, health, education, hobbies, sport. Every single topic is just contains like it's included. So like it always like most of the time it's there will be five or four paragraphs instead of the each article. So we read and we actually extract vocabularies from it, and we do and analyze it. We do speak about it using the vocabulary. And now I just got the vocabulary idea, and yeah, it's really hard.
That's a comprehensive way to learn new words, covering a wide range of topics. It sounds like a challenging process, but also one that could be very effective. Is there a particular topic you're finding particularly interesting or difficult?
Now, and then one thing is just very interesting, and I do create Telegram bot for my vocabulary review every single day, and I won't really hesitate it like when it comes to reviewing my vocabularies. I just start my bot, my Telegram bot, and I start quiz section. Start quiz. There is a button, and I already added, and it starts to just to giving you the every single word vocabulary, and the word itself, a definition in English and example in English. So I could just make a sentences using it, or I just just press next button, and for just quick review.
That's a very efficient way to review vocabulary. Having the words, definitions, and examples readily available for daily review is quite convenient. Are there any particular types of vocabulary you find most helpful to review with your bot?
Not really. Okay, let's back on the track, and we just went off topic. To take back something that was yours. It's a reclaim, and you will able to reclaim the tax on all the equipment that you buy. I reclaimed my suitcase from the lost luggage office, and I reclaimed my honor from and I reclaimed my honor that has been lost over the century.
That was a good review of reclaim and its various meanings, from getting back something tangible, like a suitcase, to restoring honor. Did you want to discuss any particular example further?
No, it's okay. Like tangible. What was the that data meaning? Tangible. Is it important?
Tangible means something you can touch, like a physical object. Is that what you were asking about?
No, no, it's okay. Okay, that's yeah. I understood. Okay, let's back to the track on track, and let's continue to actually the watching.
From the industry that profits
We
off
can
your
continue
vulnerabilities.
watching the video. Just tell me when you want me to comment on something they say.
They have from the industry that profits off your vulnerabilities. So profits off your vulnerabilities. So the new word for me.
Profits off your vulnerabilities means that a company or industry makes money by taking advantage of people's weaknesses or lack of knowledge. In this case, it suggests the food industry might encourage consumption of certain foods that may not be healthy, capitalizing on those vulnerabilities. Does that make more sense?
Yes, like he's been okay. he's been profit of just selling, crazy unnecessary things like products to people. So is that right example?
Yes, that generally means that a company or industry is making money by selling things that people don't really need. In this context, it suggests the food industry might be promoting products that aren't vital and potentially isn't healthy to increase their profits. Do you have a different perspective on that?
Okay, like the company profit of growing demand for electric cars. She profited of her creativity by selling her art online, and I profited of just selling my my language courses to others.
Yes, you got it. Those are all examples of profiting from a particular demand, creativity, or selling a product or service. Is there anything specific you'd like to discuss about these examples?
Okay, and profit of that's done. And next one, vulnerabilities.
Vulnerabilities are weaknesses or areas where someone might be susceptible to harm or exploitation. Is there a specific context you heard the word used in?
Yes, it says their health from industry that profits of their vulnerabilities.
Right. In that context, it means the industry is making money by taking advantage of people's weaknesses or their lack of ability to resist the products the industry
Vulnerability.
offers, even if they're not healthy for them. Did you want to discuss a particular aspect of that?
Oh, it means the quality of being vulnerable, able to easily hurt, influence, or attack, or something that is vulnerable.
Les, you got it. Vulnerability is the state of being easily hurt, influenced, or targeted. It's the quality of being susceptible to something negative. Does that help clarify the meaning for you?
Yes, let's back to the track and on the track and let's continue.
73% of the items in the American grocery store are poison.
Okay, we can go
73,
back to watching
okay.
the video. Just
73 of the items in the American grocery stores
Because
are
sugar is
poison
hidden in
because
all the
sugar is
foods. For instance,
hidden in all the foods. For
there's
instance,
262
there's a 262
names for
names
sugar, and the
for
food
sugar and the food,
industry uses all of them
and the
because
food industry uses all of them
they knew when
because
they add it, you buy
they
more.
knew
But
they knew they add it by you buy more.
the problem is, and it's
But the
providing
problem is
That's a
people with a
surprise.
dopamine hit, and that dopamine
like the problem is it's just providing people
That's
with a
a surprise.
dopamine hit and that dopamine.
Could you clarify what you mean by provide you food at the cost of your health? Are you suggesting the food industry is selling products that are not healthy?
Yes. I just want to say that. So it says like in American, like 73% of the grocery stores they've been selling you, the actually there's something harmful, not really unhealthy foods options they've been selling, and all of them is just poisoned. So it's saying that the problem is providing people with dopamine. So even though the companies they know about how they're selling it and what's they're selling it, but all of them is just it's they're providing with dopamine, so it makes them the happier when they buy or use it in daily basis.
Yes, that is what the article is suggesting, that the food industry may be prioritizing products that can trigger a sense of happiness or reward through the release of dopamine, potentially at the expense of people's health. Do you have any other questions about this?
No, and I just want to actually watch until end. So what's going on? It's just perfect.
is addictive. And that's when you actually have a biochemical and
Okay,
medical
we're
problem. Can we
watching the video now. What would you like to know?
So it's just talking about how biochemical and medical
have
problem.
data to show that ultra-processed food has been associated with dementia, diabetes, cancer, every single mental health
Oh, dementia, diabetes, cancer, every single mental health
disease. So the question
health disease. So the question
is, how can you buy healthy
Is there any
how can you buy healthy food?
food and not be
Not
tempted by the
tempted by.
bad stuff? So
Okay,
According to the
okay. Stop here. So let's answer the question. So how can we buy the healthy food and not to be tempted by the bad stuff? What's the meaning of not to be tempted by the bad stuff?
not that would mean avoiding the appeal or is there anything else you'd like to know about that phrase?
Yes, just go for it. You don't have to just just try. Not to be tempted by the bad stuff. Just tell me the thing.
Yes, not to be tempted by the bad stuff means to avoid being drawn or enticed.
And not not be tempted by the bad stuff. Uh, bad stuff means resisting things that are harmful, unhealthy, and the morally wrong, even it seems attractive. I attempted to buy a new. Stay out of trouble, keep out to trouble, don't give it in temptation, resist the urge. Okay, a resist temptation is just that he wants to do something and he's just resisting. Resisting, not doing it. Okay, in this part, the not be tempted by the bad stuff means resisting that are harmful. It means and you don't want to buy it. And I'm always avoiding unhealthy foods and I don't want to tempt by that bad stuff. Not tempted, but in context it means resisting unhealthy food, junk snacks, or anything you know it isn't good for. But it means you don't want to buy it, and I'm always avoiding unhealthy foods. I don't want tempt by the bad stuff. I don't want to tempt like I want. Okay, tempt by. Okay, that's awesome. So let's answer the question. Hey, let's answer the perfect question. and how we can choose the healthy food and not to tempt by the bad stuff.
That's a great question. One way to choose healthy foods is to read food labels and look for things with fewer artificial ingredients, less sugar, and higher fiber. Also, try to focus on whole, unprocessed foods like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, since they tend to be more nutritious. Does that help get things started?
Oh yes, let me answer the question answer that directly. So in order to just choosing healthy foods is most likely it depends on what you're buying. Because sometimes when we go to the shopping, when we go to shopping, we don't really just stop resisting our urge. We cannot resist to buying the very unhealthy stuff, and because we will be like hungry, we feel really hungry when we go there, and we just buy that stuff without even the thinking a second time. And at the time we just buy, we don't really look at the labels and what's really healthy or unhealthy. So because let's imagine. So if you go to the shopping, you will see almost the 80% of the everything. If you're buying this healthy food, you need to cook by yourself at home. Not they are not really ultra processed foods. They are they need to be cooked by yourself, like potato, everything like fresh, like carrot, and everything is fresh and full of fiber and very nutritious veggies and fruits. They need to be cooked by you. They need a better, chef and to be cooked. And another one, and most of the people, they don't really like to cooking, so that's why they choose chips, junk food, sugary drinks, and there are a lot of options out there. So that's why they just not really, they don't really the resist to buying the unhealthy food. And yes, I think that's a great thing.
You're right. Choosing healthy foods can be challenging, especially when we're hungry and surrounded by tempting, unhealthy options. Focusing on eating whole, unprocessed foods and being mindful of our hunger cues might help us make better choices.
Okay, that's awesome. Let's go in the next one.
So first, if a food has a label, it's a warning label. Second
Great!
thing,
What's the next question you'd like to discuss?
So it says, oh, okay, it says, so if the food has a label, it's a warning label because it's warns you. So how much calories it's included and it contains, how much fat, unhealthy fats, the yeah the the essential thing is the protein. So if you're really looking for that from the label, but other stuff, carbohydrates, the fat, unhealthy fats, and all of it is so, you know you cannot really want to buy it and to consume.
That's it. Go on. What else did you want to say?
Okay.
Okay.
if any food has a sugar in the first three ingredients, it's dessert. And then when they go to the store, don't go hungry.
If you're about to go to the store, don't go hungry. It means never be hungry while you're shopping, and you will cheat on your diet. It might be because you see a lot of stuff in ultra processed foods, and you cannot really resist your temptation to buy those bad stuff.
And what about exercise?
Well, it doesn't
What about exercise? So that is really helpful. Well, it doesn't feel doesn't
really impact your desire to reach.
okay. Well, it doesn't really impact. It means it's impact, it means it affects, yes, your desire. It means your wants, your what you really want to reach itself to achieve. But
For sugar. It has its own metabolic benefits, but
its own metabolic benefits. Well, it means what about say, exercise is sad. So yes, there are different type. There is the benefits of it. But there is a um, when you're doing the different lot of exercises, so it doesn't really helpful. It doesn't really helpful because it never helps you to lose weight if you don't really take care of your diet.
if you think exercise is going to make you lose weight,
If you ever think exercise is going to make you lose weight,
you are deluded.
you are deluded. What's the meaning of deluded? Deluded. Deluded. Oh, sorry.
Deluded.
Deluded. Believing things that are not real or true. What a deluded. What a deluded. Oh, I was a deluded fool. I've been. So, next word is deluded. It means that you used to, or you are so believer to something. And for example, I was so deluded person, and I was fool as well. Fool, deluded. The word delude means something that believes something that isn't true, often because they are misled, complex. Deluded, having false beliefs and unrealistic ideas. Was deluded into thinking he could become a rich. Oh, okay.
And we can talk about that.
So, with all of this in mind, if I've got a sugar problem or if
With all of this in mind, like thinking about this, like at the time we are thinking about this, with all of this in mind. Yeah. Yes, to introduce conclusion, decision, back information given the technique. With all of this in mind, this had changed my life. Okay, that's also with all of this in mind means considering everything that has been just said or thought. You used to connect ideas and reflects or conclusion. You used to introduce conclusion. With all of this in mind, I decided to change my life to thinking and to considering to consider with all of this mind with all of this in mind with all of this in mind with all of this in mind uh with all of this in mind, I've decided to study abroad. uh, with all of this in mind with all of this in mind with all of this in mind, I've decided to study abroad. What if got a sugar problem?
I've got an addiction problem, what is the
What's
remedy.
I will tell
what is the remedy? The addiction problem. What's the remedy?
remedy,
Remedy. Success.
Remedy.
Remedy. The successful way to curing illness or dealing with problem or difficulty. Remedy. An effective herbal remedy for toothache. Successful way. With all of this in mind, and the best remedy for grief is hard work. Next word is remedy. Remedy is something that solves a problem, cures any illnesses, or makes bad situation better. Honey and lemon is a natural remedy for time is remedy for your unhealed wounds. This this time is a remedy for your unhealed wounds. Means time heals emotions, pain, past hurt. Time is remedy.
you that this is one of the things I did in my obesity clinic.
I will tell you that is one of the things I did in my obesity clinic. Okay.
So the only way you're going to be able to
The only
fix the
way
problem is
the only way you're going to able to fix the problem is
I see messages all the time in the comment section that some of you didn't realize you didn't subscribe. So if you could do me a favor and double check if you're a subscriber to this channel, that would be tremendously appreciated. It's the simple.
if you do me a favor, could you please just double check if you subscribe, and that would be very half of a tremendous. It's a very huge amount of tremendous. It means tremendously appreciated. I would be tremendous. I would be huge appreciated.
It's the free thing that anybody that watches this show frequently can do to help us here to keep everything going in this show in the trajectory it's on. So please do double check if you subscribed, and thank you so much, because in a strange way you're part of our history, and
it's a strange way, or the part of our history.
You're on this journey with us, and I appreciate you for that. So
You're on this journey with us, and I appreciate.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Robert, good to have you back.
Oh, my pleasure.
I am particularly fascinated by this term.
I'm particularly fascinated by the pyramid. I'm really attracted by. I'm really attracted by this term. It means the status. I'm really particularly attracted by this term.
Hostage brain. I know.
Hostage brain. It means hostage brain is just hostage. It means clogged and blocked brain.
You're in the early
I know
stages
you're
of
in
working on
the
a
early stage of working. And I've started working as I started learning English in my early stage of my life. 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 I've started learning English in my early stage of my life. In the early stage of my life, when I've been working and on my pronunciation, grammar, and other sections.
book about this subject, but
Book about this
for
subject.
anyone that doesn't understand, so when I look at this word, the hostage
When I look at this word hostage
brain, I think of all
I think
the
of
times that
all
I've
the
been out
times
of
that
control.
I've been
And when I say
out of control. I've been
out of control,
When I say out of control,
I'm going to let you define it, but
I'm going. I'm going to let you define it. Define it. You must make it express it to make a more, you know, understand. Like to explain it. Please explain it. Define meaning. That's a meant. Well, what's? Please, can you define this? What's really meant? Define.
Define.
Define. To say that the meaning of something, especially words, be defined. Digital reality defined. Okay. Define the question. Could you define the terms a little more? That's a vocabulary we've been seeing this the whole time. Define means, please can you make it more understandable?
when I say out of control, I mean there's so many
Out of control. I
things
mean
I
there's
want to
so many
do
things
as
I
it
want
relates
to do
to
as
my
it
health,
relates to it means to more basically based on relying on
my fitness,
fitness,
other aspects of my
other aspects of my life.
life, whether it's avoiding eating
Whether it's just the grammar structure, whether I'm stupid or not, I've always been stronger. So
the cookie at 2 a.m. in a hotel room somewhere, or other areas of my life where I want to have greater elements of control. What do you mean by the hostage brain?
what do you mean by
All of us want to be in control.
I just wanted to see what he was really curious about what's really meant uh, about hostage brain.
Stephen. I mean,
All of us is want to be in the
it's
control.
the nature of humanity. We want to be in
So we want to be in the control over everything, our health, body, everything, brain, the situation that's happening to us.
control. We want to be in control of our lives. Unfortunately, many of us want to be in control of everyone else's lives, as we've seen play out on grand stages
We've been seeing out of grand
lately. Okay, everyone wants to be in control. And the reason we want to be in control
The reason we want to be in the control
is because then we can
is because we can
mitigate threat.
mitigate. What the fuck? Mitigate.
Mitigate.
Mitigate. Oh, it means make it more less harmful. Oh, okay. Now I understood. Mitigate. Next word is mitigate. It means make it more less harmful. So in order to mitigate this this illness, he used some of the ancient Chinese methods. Let's check this out. Am I really did a great job or I just messed up in the middle of the somewhere? Oh, the exact term to mitigate means to make something less severe. Or mitigate or something. Okay. In order to mitigate this illness, he used some ancient Chinese methods. It means less effective, less pain. Proper sleep and balanced diet can mitigate the effect of stress.
When you're in control, then
When you're in
threat is
control,
low
then
because
threat is low
you're in control.
because you're in
Problem is,
control.
we're not in control.
We're not in
The more in control,
control.
the more a specific area of your brain
Your brain
is basically glomming on. And that area of the
glowing on, glowing on. Glowing on or glowing on till this is say seaside grab take hold on something, often something abstract like idea friend. Glow on to something or someone means attach yourself, cling to physical emotion. Okay, I understood. Now I understood.
brain is known as the amygdala.
As the amygdala is a part of the brain, a brain part that respond to our if we are whether we are in the control of ourselves or not.
Amygdala is your fear center. It's also your 24-hour sentry. But really, what the amygdala is, it's the point guard on your basketball team. Okay? So it surveys the entire court, sees the
This stupid.
team. Okay? So it surveys the entire court.
This entire surveys the mechanism.
survey,
Survey an examination of opinion behavior. Advice. A recent survey found revealed showed that 58% of the people didn't know where they heard this. Oh, survey, it means, oh, it's just checked. Okay, the examination. After survey, I did have I do have a knowledge about how things work in my technological part.
Court sees the offense and the defense and has to make split-second decisions.
And
Who's going to score?
who's gonna score?
Now, a lousy point guard takes
A lousy point.
lousy,
Very bad. Lousy point. It means bad point, bad type, the bad part. Brat xurrakda ham yomon o'rtarkan borku. Вообще. Yaxshilik bilan uxlayapman-da borku. Ertaga ukam ham kelsa toza ekan dadada o'rtada o'lar ekanman mana.
Mana shu yotar.
Shu yerda yotsam bo'laveradi, shu ertalab yo ishdan kelmasam haftada bir marta kelib cho'milib po'milib qaytib ketaman.
Lekin turg'izingda.
Ha?
Turg'izingda bir ikki tanesini olib qo'ying. Mana bu lekinlardan ana shunday gilam uraman-da.
All the shots. A good point guard passes off to the guy who has the best shot. A great point guard is going to be able to figure out if he's going to score or if he's going to pass it off to somebody else. If you're in control, okay, your level of threat goes down. But really, your control is an illusion. You really don't have control. And the more you try to exert it,
Oh, okay. The next new word, exert. It means
exert,
exert.
exert,
Exert. You're trying to exert it. To use something that is as authority, power, influence in order to make something happen. Exert your influence. If you were exert your influence, they might change your decision. Okay. It means to make more, try to more in the control over that, to taking control of your body. So, okay, take offer. But I got it. Now I understood. Exert it. Exert comes from verb exert, which means to use, apply, or put forth energy. When it say exerted, it refers whatever force, effort, influence. You will need to exert a lot of effort to finish this. To exert it, apply something powerful, pressure. Okay. Where did that and exert it?
the more you realize you're not in
The more you
control.
realize you're not in
And what that does is that
then what does it
generates an enormous amount of stress and an enormous amount of pain.
enormous amount of
Now, that pain can turn inward, and we call that depression.
oh, inward. It's really like it generates. Inward.
inward,
Inward, the force pushes the object and towards. Okay, it towards. Wow. Inward. Next vocabulary is inward. It means to push something forward. In order to invert your your social interaction with others, you need to keep talking to other people like, and you don't know, are the inmates. Inmates. Okay, we upside down. Oh, upside down. Yeah, it's just saying. He's just saying. So invert. So if we just flip the bottle, if they flip the coin, it means the inverted, and if they flip the coin, if they invert the situation, the thing word, we call it depression. Okay, that's understandable. Let's keep going. Start. Oh, and
right now, 29% of Americans are depressed, and 4.4% of the entire world is depressed. These numbers were infinitesimal.
Infinitesimal. It means infinitesimal is like not really has no ending. It's an infinite.
A generation ago. And they are basically, just pushing up further and further.
Pushing up, it means just increasing further and further.
And the reason is because of this inappropriate illusion of control. And it's causing
Inappropriate, it means, so it's not really the correct way to illusion of control. And that's why we are just thinking, so we are in the control, we are like controlling our lives, but we are not doing it. So it means it equals, it inverse to depression, which we call inward and as in depression. So that's a very bad,
an enormous amount of pain. How do you mollify that pain?
Mollify. Oh, mollify. Oh, mollify. Oh, mollify.
Mollify.
To appease anger, anxiety. Form emotion that mollify makes someone less angry. As okay, I just want to share this something. So it says it's causing an enormous amount of pain. How do you mollify that pain? What does it mean? It means, how do you just describe that pain or the mollify? It means it's that anxiety and depression. How I'm supposed to understand mollify meaning in this context?
In that context, mollify means to ease or calm the pain. So the phrase, how do you mollify that pain, is asking how you would reduce or lessen the intense pain. It doesn't directly mean anxiety and depression, but the pain could be caused by emotional or physical sources, and the question is asking about treatment. Does that make sense?
Oh, it means how to mollify that pain. It means to reduce, not really get angry. It's not like that. Or it's just that it is saying you man is saying how to reduce the pain. Is it right?
Yes, that's correct. Mollify that pain means to reduce or ease the pain, not to get angry.
But it's the actually itself mollify itself the meaning to make someone less angry or upset. I tried to mollify her by giving her flowers.
Do you want to talk about flowers?
No. Mollifying. I tried to mollify her by giving her flowers.
Ah, I see. In that sentence, mollify means to calm or soothe someone's upset feelings. So giving her flowers was a way to try to make her feel better.
Okay, wait a minute.
Sure, I'll wait. Let me know when you're ready for the next question.
Okay, if I wanted to mollify my pain, or I need should I talk to a doctor?
If you're experiencing a significant amount of pain, it's always a good idea to talk to a doctor. They can help determine the cause and provide you with the best treatment options.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anything else I can help
How
you with?
do you basically deal with the psychological pain of lack of control that you yourself put upon yourself? Well, we have loads of ways. Cocaine, amphetamine, nicotine, alcohol, sugar, gambling, social media, internet gaming, pornography. Pick your poison. That's dopamine.
That's a dopamine.
Dopamine.
So it means she's been talking about how and what kind of things she could just choose as a poison. He just counted some of them, and he called it as a dopamine. So and now she's just describing what the dopamine is.
Basically provides you with a little bit of pleasure on top of a whole lot of pain. The problem is that dopamine is addictive. And so when you apply a set of pleasures to try to deal with your pain of lack of control, that puts you into a never-ending cycle of consumption and misery. That's the hostage brain.
What do I need to understand?
Okay, it means in this context, she's been talking about how that thing, and dopamine is, she just started talking about dopamine. The dopamine is, it's just that it gives you the energy to do something, like not really long time, like it doesn't really long lasting, but it feels the great in the first place. So, and it fails you, and after short amount of time. And it's all the thing, it generally means hostage brain.
About dopamine in order to, because I think sometimes awareness is step one in being able to do something about a problem that you might have. So what do I need to understand about what dopamine is and what it's doing in my brain and how it's...
What should I understand? What thing should I really consider about the dopamine? This is what dopamine is and what it's doing in my head, in my brain.
Sort of associated with addiction, to then be able to do something about it, which I consider step two.
So dopamine basically has two functions. The first is learning. There's no learning without dopamine.
There's no learning without dopamine.
Anytime you learn something, whether it's positive or negative, it's because there was a dopamine release. When you put your hand down on a hot stove when you were 3 years old, and went, I'm never doing that again.
I'm never doing that
again. Okay, that was dopamine that
was dopamine.
did that. Okay, and what it it did was it went to your amygdala and it rewired
amygdala
it.
rewired it, rewired it. So in this context, he's been talking about how what the dopamine is or what it's doing our brain. So he said, okay, let me put that way, in that way. So dopamine is just a basically thing that helps you to learn, to make a mistake, and to fix it and immediately. For example, when you were 3 years, the 3 years old kid, when you were just putting your hat on the stove in a hot stove, you were like, oh, so it means so you actually afraid it. You were just you were surprised, just and then you said, I will never do it again, and it means you don't want to do it again because it was a dopamine that pushed you to say so. Okay, that's the thing we've been talking about. So, and when you do that, and the signal that went to your amygdala, and it rewired it in. It rewired it. It's like unplug it and plug it. So that's what happened.
That was a rewiring of your amygdala due to the excitatory
Excitatory to the
neurostimulus.
excitatory.
Excitatory.
Excitatory. Excitatory. Excitatory means characterized by causing. Let's talk about what's the excitatory is that.
Can you please clarify what you mean by excitatory? That word is used in a few different contexts. Are you thinking about neuroscience, chemistry, or something else?
Yes, it's just saying. I said I was just watching a YouTube video, a podcast. It's just that person is a doctor. He said to the excitatory neurostimulus.
Ah, okay. In that context, excitatory neurostimulus refers to something that increases the activity of neurons in the brain. It's like a signal that tells neurons to be more active and communicate more with each other. Does that help clarify?
Yeah, an excitatory. Can you clarify the meaning more?
Excitatory means something that stimulates or increases activity. So, in the context of neurostimulus, it means a signal that makes neurons more active or excited. Does that help clarify it further?
Yes, and 100%. So I need to record extra 2.5 hours again in order to make it like 5 hours straight, and I need to fully analyze and learn vocabularies based on what I learned today from the podcast, and it must be in the 5 hours. Then I'm already tired because almost 2 a.m. in the morning, but I didn't. I gave up the sleeping, and I'm doing my homework.
It sounds like you have a very demanding homework assignment. Having to record and analyze that much audio, especially when it's almost 2 a.m., must be exhausting. Is there anything about the podcast that's particularly interesting that you'd like to discuss?
And why I chose this podcast, because our teacher teacher gave us, and just for free willing to choose whatever podcast we're about to discuss and to analyze. So I choose this because I'm really interested in sugary things, and because the sugary things not always the good for our health, and how our brain is react when we eat, and what's really dopamine is, and how it's really in our life is changing. So in the entire world, this doctor is just telling about everything what I was really looking for, and so that's why I'm really interested. It's only like for several minutes, and I've been talking about, and I've been discussing every single one of the word. I want to understand fully and without even skipping any point. So that's perfect, actually.
It sounds like you're really interested in learning more about the effects of sugary foods on the brain. That's a very interesting topic to explore for your project.
It's not my project, and I'm studying and I'm preparing for IELTS. So, and in order to pass through the next month, and the first month is done, and in order to move to, next month in our course, so teacher gave us like 15 hours straight homework. Now I need to finish first 5 hours first, and then after that, and I will sleep, and tomorrow, I will wake up like 8 or 11 p.m. and I start again. So like, repeating everything, and I start recording 10 hours straight uh, article analyze video.
It sounds like you have a very demanding IELTS preparation schedule. Recording and analyzing 10 hours of podcasts is quite a lot of work. Make sure to take breaks and get enough sleep to stay focused and retain the information.
I wanna get 9.
What exactly would you like to know about neurons? Are you curious about?
You misheard me. I want to get 9.
Ah, I understand. You're aiming for a score of 9 in IELTS. That's a fantastic goal. It will take consistent practice and focused study to achieve that level. Keep up the great work and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it.
You're 100% right. Let's keep diving into our podcast.
Okay, let's
of that dopamine affecting an area
dive
of your
back into the
brain called the
podcast. What
basolateral
should we
amygdala.
discuss next?
Okay? And it laid down and it set up a circuit, and that circuit is still working in you right now. Okay?
Okay.
So,
So
dopamine is the learning
neurotransmitter.
neurotransmitter. It can be for negative learning, it can be for positive
It
learning.
can be for
Either way.
learning, either way.
Dopamine is also, when it's going to another area of the brain called the nucleus accumbens, which is the reward center,
which is the reward center.
that is
That is
a stimulus for reward.
stimulus for
That is the
reward. That's the
motivation
motivation
for reward.
reward.
That is,
That is
in
in
one word,
in a one
foreplay.
word, foreplay.
Okay? That is the excitement,
Except
the reason for continuing any given behavior.
behavior.
Okay?
Foreplay, it's a sexual activity such as kissing.
Foreplay.
That's
Foreplay.
why he laughed while explaining this. Oh, come on, bro. Come on. Okay.
You get both
You get both
out of dopamine.
out of
Okay?
dopamine.
And in short, small bursts in the right
In
venue,
the right venue.
that's how we now.
Oh, what? Right venue? What does it mean, venue? I don't want to know everything.
Venue.
Oh, public event, something is happening. Uh, The hotel is an ideal venue for conference and business meeting.
Navigate life. We navigate it through learning and we navigate it through reward. You can't do it without dopamine.
Without dopamine.
Dopamine is good
Dopamine is good.
unless it's bad.
Unless
And
it's bad.
as you know, everything
As you
in
know,
science
everything
is
in
both good
science
and bad.
is both good and bad.
The problem is chronic
problem is
overstimulation of any
chronic
neuron
overstimulation
leads
of
to
any
neuronal
neuron
cell
leads to
death.
neuronal cell
Dopamine
death.
is a
Dopamine
chronic
is
stimulator.
a chronic stimulator.
And so if you have chronic dopamine being released, what's going to happen is you're going to kill the next neuron. Now, that neuron doesn't want to die. So it downregulates the receptors for dopamine so that it's less likely that one dopamine over here is going to find the receptor over here to bind to because there are fewer of them. So what this means is more and more for less and less. And we call that phenomenon tolerance.
Phenomenon tolerance. Okay, phenomenon is just an unusual situation, the event that happens. Tolerance, it means just how you're strong and you're just tolerance, willingness as a behavior.
Tolerance.
You might agree or something. So this period history is not for this religious tolerance. Okay, I just want to ask the one thing. The phenomenon tolerance. In this part, in this context, has been talking about how our our neurons is working, works, and in this part is just stopped here about talking about phenomenon tolerance. But when I go to check out the tolerance meaning, I know phenomenon what's really meaning, and in that context, and I don't really understand tolerance meaning that it means tolerance that not really understand actually not really not really accept that part, the belief that has happened in the history or something else that not really history that happened.
The phrase phenomenon of tolerance, in the context of how our neurons work, is likely referring to a situation where neurons become less sensitive to a particular stimulus over time. This can happen when they are repeatedly exposed to something, and it's how our bodies and brains adjust to different conditions. Does that provide more clarity?
I think it's right. Let's continue.
Great. Is there anything else you'd like to understand about the podcast?
More dopamine, more tolerance. So the law of diminishing returns. So you get a hit, you get a rush.
Could be a sugar, alcohol, whatever it might be.
Pick your
pornography. Yeah.
Pick your poison. Doesn't matter. You get a hit, you get a rush, receptors go down. Next time you need a bigger hit to get the same rush, receptors go down, and then you need a bigger hit and a bigger hit and a bigger hit until finally you get a huge hit to get nothing. That's called tolerance. And then when the neurons actually start to die, that's called addiction. So tolerance is the start of addiction. And the problem is more dopamine, more tolerance, more addiction.
So people that are getting addicted to unhealthy foods and sugars and those kinds of things, what's like going on in their brain?
So at first, the first time they taste it, whatever it is, whether it's a Fruit Loop or candy corn or Frappuccino or pick your poison. You get this big sugar bomb going off in your head, and you go, "Wow, this is great! I want some more of this."
And what is that?
And then you
sugar
down
bomb?
the whole Frappuccino, okay? And what you've done is you've basically hit your nucleus accumbens with a big slug of dopamine, and you go, "Wow, that was great."
It means a slug of. It's like a just legless snail, like. Oh, it means like large of gulp, like you're drinking something so fast and just in one gulp. Gulp? Yeah. Okay. That was
And then an hour later, it's gone. And then you go, God, I need that again. Okay? So the first time you got it, you liked it. The second time you did it, you wanted it. And the third time, you needed it. So that's the difference between liking and wanting and needing. Okay? Because liking, we all do. And no one wants to take away liking. Wanting gets into problems because you can abuse things. Needing is when you actually have a biochemical and medical problem.
So with all of this in mind, if I've got a sugar problem or if I've got an addiction problem, I'm addicted to insert poison, what is the remedy? Just avoid it for a while? And then if that is the remedy, what's going on in my brain? Is it fixing itself?
There are many remedies, okay? And they can all be used in conjunction with each other. Ultimately, the only thing that's going to work is getting those dopamine receptors back up. Remember, I told you dopamine downregulates its own receptor. The only way you're going to be
downregulates its receptor. It means to okay. It can return remedy. It can remedy by itself, and it means if we fix our healthy lifestyle once more again, so that would be if we the remedy, everything is back, and so nothing to worry. So we can just avoid this kind of the things.
be able to fix the problem is for the dopamine receptors to come back up. There's a trend going on right now out in Silicon Valley you may have heard of called dopamine fasting. Okay.
Yeah, I've heard the word.
Basically, people lock themselves up in a hotel room for 3 weeks. Okay, don't take a shower, and basically, take the TVs out of the room, and try to commune with themselves and with nature with no stimuli.
Commune is just to become interact with nature and with themselves, not really intimate. This side. It's just to become themselves by yourself.
No external stimuli in order to bring their dopamine receptors back up. Particularly true of cocaine addicts because their dopamine receptors are way down because, after all, cocaine is a dopamine reuptake inhibitor. So it's
reuptake is inhibitor. Reuptake. I'm interested in the meaning that cocaine is a dopamine reuptake inhibitor. So reuptake, what does it mean? Inhibit the meaning. In this context, both of them, what does it mean?
In that context, dopamine reuptake inhibitor refers to a substance that prevents the reabsorption of dopamine in the brain. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that plays a role in pleasure and reward. By blocking the reabsorption, the inhibitor causes an increase in the amount of dopamine available, which can lead to feelings of euphoria. Does that make sense?
Can you make it more detailed version?
Certainly. Normally, when neurons release dopamine, it travels through the synapse, which is the space between them, and binds to receptors on the neighboring neuron. This triggers a signal. Afterward, the extra dopamine is typically reabsorbed.
Okay, stop.
Do you want me to continue with the
Okay, stop. My roommate is talking in the background, so just listen me, only me. You don't have to, just hesitate, or you don't have to, just talk and listen his voice. Only mine. Just listen to mine.
Okay, I understand. Please continue speaking when you're ready.
Лутай все, давай, 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 еще, еще. Лутай все.
Okay.
Flooding the zone with dopamine, therefore. Those receptors are, down in the sewer.
Down in the
Now,
sewer, in the sewer. Sewer.
Sewer.
Sewer. Large pipe, usually underground, is used for carrying wastewater, human waste from buildings, place where they can be safe got rid of. Sewer pipe. So large pipe, it means like a sewer pipe. It's the thing. It's the round pipe. Sewer pipe.
do you have to be that severe? No, of course not.
No, of course
But
not.
does it work?
Does it work?
Takes 3 weeks. You want to do it for 3 weeks?
You want to do it for 3 weeks?
Then it works.
Then it works.
Other ways, you can wean yourself off. You can
You can wean yourself off. Wean yourself off. Wean yourself off. Wean yourself off. Meaning, to gradually stop doing something that depend habit on doing, or to wean yourself off. And I need to wean my. Okay, I'm trying to wean myself off watching too much. I need to wean myself off. Wean myself off playing too much video games. I'm trying to wean myself off watching too much TV.
do abstinence.
Abstinence. Abstinence meaning the practice of
Abstinence.
self-enforced restraint from indulging in bodily activities that while the experience is giving pleasure. Okay, abstinence, it means to stop yourself, to restrain yourself doing that. So, especially with your body. Abstinence.
If you can do abstinence, that's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
Hard to do, especially when it's staring at you and when it's available 24/7,
It's available
365, like sugar is.
Sugar is.
It's everywhere. It's on every street corner.
When I fast or when I do the ketogenic diet,
When I get a ketogenic diet that high fat and low carbohydrate sugars that cause the body breaks down fat into muscular called ketones. Ketogenic diet means only I've tried ketogenic diet that high in the fat and low carbohydrate.
I lose my apparent cravings.
That's right. Exactly right.
Exactly right.
And the reason is because no sugar in a ketogenic diet. So you're basically removing the offensive stimulus.
I was so shocked. I love those cinnamon roll things. Not that I probably eat one every 2 years, but I love them nonetheless. I'm like a big admirer, even though we don't have a relationship anymore. And when I did the ketogenic diet for I was 4 weeks in of not having any sugar or carbohydrates, and I walked up to this concession in Cape Town with all these amazing cinnamon rolls that they're like specialists, and I looked at them, and there was zero part of my brain that was interested in any of it. Zero part of my brain, and I was like, wow, my brain has been like rewired or something, just because I've removed sugar from my diet.
Yeah. It happens, but it takes a while. It's not something that you can turn on and off. Okay? It takes a fair amount of time. I will tell you that, this is one of the things I did in my obesity clinic, on a daily basis, was getting people off their sugar addiction.
How did
Okay,
you
and
do
sometimes you have to basically babysit them. You have to, work
So
with.
in this part, he's been talking about how people are really interested in just eating the sugary things, and so he's been talking about a ketogenic diet and what should be into consideration we need to consider before you start ketogenic diet. So he's just saying, so you need to just keep the high level of fat, no sugar, carbohydrates, only just eating and nutritious food here. So one of this interviewers said that. So yeah, I've been just doing that for weeks, and I really great result. And after that, and sometimes I really went to like that kind of the sweet the thing he mentioned. I don't really recall the name of that, like cinnamon rollers or something like that. And he went somewhere else that really specialized to cooking it. And when he saw them in none of the part of his brain is really interested in that eating or getting eating that uh, interested in that sugary thing.
Them and work with their parents in order to, basically turn over the entire pantry. Because
But the doctor said that it's not really easy way to get off that, because you cannot just turn on and turn off that and suddenly it won't really change sometimes. So it will take fairly enough amount of time in order to to actually get out that get out of the addiction.
the sugar is hidden in all the foods, I mean, it's
Nima bo'ldi?
Chitda o'ynamasam odamlar o'ldirib.
Okay.
There are 262 names for sugar, and the food industry uses all of them. This is why we are trying to get sugar addiction and ultra-processed food addiction codified by the WHO.
Codified? What does it mean? Codify mean? Codified meaning.
Codify.
Codify. Codified.
Codify.
Codify. To arrange something such as laws or rules into something. Oh, arrange something. Codify. Codify. Codify meaning the verbs arrange organization to turn misinformation into organized system. Okay, now it's just to make sense. The government plans to codify environmental laws into one unified legal code.
WHO and by the American Psychiatric Association as a bona fide diagnosis so that we can get remediation and therapy for people.
One of the things that was one of the most popular parts of our conversation last time, Robert, was there's a section where we talked about the different types of sugar and Diet Cokes and Coke Zeros and all these kinds of things.
Yeah.
I can see a couple of cans on the desk over there where Jack is in the darkness that I can vaguely see. And
oh, there you go, we'll see.
Vaguely.
Oh, it means not they're not really clearly expressed, not described. It's a vaguely see, it's a barely see. I'm barely seeing that stupid thing. Um, uh, uh, so in that way, it's not really expressed, not described. He said, I vaguely remembered having met her before. I'm vaguely memorizing all of these vocabularies all the time, without vaguely.
These cans of fizzy drink, they all have some kind of sugar substitute.
Yep.
Are those sugar substitutes harmless?
No, of course not. A paper just came out like 3 days ago in Annals of Neurology, basically showing that non-nutritive sweetener consumption.
Non-nutritive, not nutritive. I just want to ask you, what's the meaning codify?
Codify means to arrange things into a systematic code or system. For example, you might codify laws or rules. Does that help clarify the meaning?
To fix the very messy information into one detailed one.
Yes, that's a good way to think about it. Codifying involves organizing messy or disorganized information into a more structured and understandable system. This helps make the information easier to access and understand.
So next vocabulary is vaguely.
Vaguely.
Could you please spell?
Vaguely.
Vaguely. Vaguely means in a way that is unclear or indistinct. So if you remember something vaguely, you remember it not very clearly or without many details.
Okay, let me just create a sentences using that. So I vaguely remember the vocabulary I've learned yesterday.
That's a great sentence. It clearly shows that you don't remember the vocabulary very clearly. Do you have another example you'd like to try?
No, and I've been, as I mentioned before, I've been watching podcasts and I've been analyzing it. And this part he's just saying, so the interviewer saying to the doctor, showing that, so over there are there are two cans, and and Jack is going to, sipping, and I'm vaguely seeing it. It means I'm barely seeing it. It's the equals, and so at that time I was like, oh, what kind of the thing is that, and what does it mean, the vaguely? So, and I really rushed out here and wanted to ask you.
I understand. The speaker in the podcast is using vaguely to indicate that they cannot see the cans clearly, meaning they are only seeing them in a blurry or undefined way. Does that help explain the meaning in this context?
Yes, and next one is non-nutritive sweetener.
Non-nutritive sweetener refers.
So can you give me a detailed version of explanation?
Certainly. Non-nutritive sweetener is a food additive that provides little or no calories but tastes sweet. It's commonly used in low-calorie products to enhance the flavor without adding extra sugar. Does that help clarify the meaning?
Yes, now I understood what's the meaning. It means like drinking, Coke Zero and with 0 calories. But I really curious about and how dare people just eating that, and the doctor is saying the non-nutritive sweeteners is that, and the consumption it is harmful for everyone else. So I'm really just surprised because now, well, and it means that, so should I sh- I shouldn't eat anything like sugar thing, drinks, everything. Should I give it up? And so, what else left to eat or drink in this entire world? And I cannot really, just compromise and comprehend.
It's understandable that you're concerned. The doctor might be highlighting the potential risks associated with some non-nutritive sweeteners, perhaps related to their impact on the gut microbiome or long-term consumption. It doesn't necessarily mean that all sweeteners are harmful or that you should give up all sugary things. It's probably about moderation and understanding the specific sweeteners you're consuming. Did the podcast suggest avoiding all sweeteners or just certain types?
Okay, it doesn't seem that he's just saying on just certain types. He's just saying avoid, don't eat, avoid, don't eat. Okay, and it just the interviews just said. So I've tried like 4 weeks, and there is a kind of the diet called keto now ketogenic diet. It means a low high in fat and low carbohydrates, like low sugars, everything so low. And he said he tried 4 weeks. What do you think?
It sounds like the interviewer is discussing their experience with the ketogenic diet, which is a diet that's high in fat and low in carbohydrates, including low sugar. They're mentioning that they tried it for 4 weeks. Is there a specific question you have about the ketogenic diet or what the interviewer said?
No, okay, just let me keep watching it. Maybe I could just go by myself and discuss with you.
Sounds good. I'm here if you have any more questions or want to discuss what you're hearing.
So diet, sweetener consumption correlates with dementia. And we think we know why.
Why?
Reactive oxygen species, so oxygen radicals, little chemicals that are given off from various substances that cause changes in energy metabolism in cells and also cause damage in cells. ROSs, reactive oxygen species. The famous ones are aspartame and sucralose. Now, do monk fruit extract, do stevia,
Monk fruit extract or stevia. Okay, it means it's just a type of diet types. Monk fruit extract, it means the monks they always avoid a lot of harmful things. It was just avoiding as a types.
Allulose also cause reactive oxygen species. I very specifically looked for data on those, could not find it. But for aspartame and for sucralose, the two biggest ones that are available today, the ones that are used in a lot of diet drinks, huge amounts of ROS generation.
ROS?
So, reactive oxygen species generation. So anything that generates ROSs contributes to dementia.
Is the evidence strong at this stage?
Yeah, it's pretty darn strong. I'm actually giving a talk about this next week in San Diego.
I heard you've got a new theory on the causes of Alzheimer's dementia that's somewhat linked. This is it.
This is it, yeah.
Can you explain that to me? And you've not talked about this publicly yet. You're set to talk
yet.
about it in a couple of days, I hear.
Let me take it back a step, okay? There's this organelle inside our brains called mitochondria. You've heard of mitochondria.
Yeah.
For your audience, mitochondria are the little energy-burning factories inside each of our cells. What they do is they take food energy and turn it into the chemical energy that your cell can actually use to power itself. Okay? And that chemical energy has a name. It's called ATP. Now, if you took biology in high school, you've heard of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. The energy is in the phosphate bonds. So ATP will give up its energy and go to ADP, diphosphate, which will then give up its energy and go to AMP, monophosphate, which will then finally go to adenosine. And adenosine binds to the adenosine receptor and makes you go to sleep. By the way, that's where caffeine works. It blocks the adenosine receptor, keeping you awake so that the adenosine can't bind to the adenosine receptor. Okay? So that ATP.
Okay, bind, if I'm not mistaken, it's just to combine. To tie something, someone tightly fasten something. Oh, you cannot tie. It means you cannot really bring it together.
ATP is the currency of the cell. That's what makes the cell run. Anything that depletes ATP is going to put the cell at risk. Okay? Because it doesn't have the energy it needs to run.
Yeah, it's gasoline.
It's like gasoline. So what happens when you start running out of gasoline?
Well, you break down.
You'll break down. So brain fog, difficulty concentrating, irritability, and ultimately all the way to depression. So the amount of ATP within any given neuron is the proximate cause of neuronal dysfunction that we.
So we have 5 minutes. No. And timeline is a break, and I don't want to skip it because it's just that it plays the part of the starting session. So 50 minutes, always 50 minutes, 50 minutes. I told one of my friends I'm about to go to her in a region to get my my present, my gift. But he was like, "Oh, come on, you cannot really come here." And I was like, "Why not? I cannot." Well, because you're always busy with your jobs and you're really not really interested in my thing. But I was like, "Oh, come on, don't be like that. I'm really aware of what you're doing and where you live, and so nothing going to stop me." And so I think, no, he needs to be more aware of what she said, because I just want to go, and yeah, that's my plan. I will go there. Getting the gift, and he was about to give me the shirt, and I would give you like a brand new laptop, and we will see if she's really talked, if she told me some true thing or not. Okay, we will check that out in the later year. Mm-hmm. And they have 2 minutes, almost 3 minutes. Okay, well, it's interesting. Okay, it has been really playful, and I really loved it too. Okay, I just ordered some food, some for my next week for the lunch, and that's all right, I guess. Okay. Yeah, the time's almost over. Almost. After that next session, like 5:15, you almost 3 plus almost 4 hours, and after the one, and that will be over entirely. And I could get some sleep. It's 3 o'clock almost, and I need 2 hours. Yes, right. After the 2 hours, it's almost 5. it will go 5 and I can just rest some time, then I will come back again, start from beginning. So let's use. I want to live in this entire. There are tons of books out there. Okay, it's over. Let's back to our job and we'll continue until. Okay.
See as neurocognitive and neurobehavioral change.
Oh,
Now,
okay. Now,
how do mitochondria and how do ROSs fit into this? Mitochondria make ATP,
make ATP.
but every time they make ATP, they also make ROSs. There are 11 steps in mitochondria, and they all give off ROSs. Now, those ROSs are going to damage the cell. They have to be gotten rid of. They're like toxic fumes. They got to be gotten rid of. And so we have a pathway in each cell of our body to get rid of the toxic ROSs. Okay? They're called antioxidants, like glutathione, vitamin E, vitamin C, a host of other flavonoids. Okay, those basically quench those reactive oxygen species. They go to die.
they're going to die.
If you do that, then the ROSs basically just get funneled away and all is well and the cell can keep working.
Get funneled away.
Funnel.
Okay. Funnel.
But if for some reason those antioxidants aren't up to par, if, for instance, you've been eating ultra-processed food and you can't make your antioxidant complement, then the ROSs feed back. And what happens is the ROSs are basically telling the cell, hey, you're shunting too much energy down this pathway because I can't clear them. So there's too much stuff. So shut it down. And so what happens is that instead of funneling the glucose into the mitochondria to generate more ATP, it diverts it and it goes off into other directions like glycogen, which is in the brain is not good, or fat, which is even worse. And bottom line, your cell is now not energy producing like it used to be. It has now been reduced in terms of its energy capacity. What's that going to do? That's going to reduce ATP generation. Okay, that's step one. Now step two. There's this stuff called cortisol. Cortisol comes from stress. Cortisol comes from sleep deprivation. Cortisol comes from exogenous glucocorticoids, like steroids being given to people for, autoimmune disease or for, other illnesses. Okay, that cortisol causes neurons to increase in metabolism, causes them to burn energy faster. Okay, so now you have an increased ATP utilization. So you have a decreased ATP generation. Now you have an increased ATP utilization. Now you've got an energy crisis inside each cell. Now your ATP can't keep up with the needs of the cell. And when that happens, now you've got symptoms, whether it's brain fog or irritability or all the way to frank depression. Okay, now, step 3. There are these proteins inside each neuron called amyloid precursor peptide, APP. Okay? It's a normal protein in all cells. Every cell in your body has APP. It needs to stay in solution. And in order for it to stay in solution, energy has to be applied to it in order to keep it in solution. The minute the ATP in the cell goes down, they come out of solution and they start forming aggregates, which we call
aggregates. Come on.
Aggregate.
Something formed by adding together several amounts of most things. They purchased an aggregate of 3,000 shares in company. Okay, it means the amount of I just bought 12 shares of. I just purchased aggregate of like amount of amount of 3,000. Okay, I just bought aggregate of 3 or 4 things in together. Okay, and now I understood what's going on, where I gone, I've been, and where I've been lost. That's awesome, yes. And let's keep going.
all plaques.
All plaques.
Okay? And those plaques
It's almost 3 hours.
Damage the cell.
Plaques. Oh, plaques. What is mean plaques?
Plaque.
Okay, it's the plate. Plaque. If it's salvage.
Then start an inflammatory process.
Plaque, it's
Inflammatory.
Inflammatory.
And indeed are likely to cause anger or hate. It means inflammatory process. And her use of inflammatory language probably made a dispute worse. Okay, let's dive in. Okay, I just really curious about. Okay, those plaques damage the cell, which then start an inflammatory process. Inflammatory, it means with like out of context, it indeed or likely to cause anger or hate. So in this context, I've just read. What does it mean?
In this context, inflammatory means that the plaques are causing a reaction in the body that involves inflammation, which is a natural defense mechanism that helps protect the body from injury or infection. It doesn't mean the plaques are causing anger or hate in the emotional sense. Does that help clarify the meaning?
Okay, it means to what? Like mechanism to its defense mechanism, right? Like
Yes, exactly. The inflammatory process is a defense mechanism that your body uses to protect itself from things like the plaques or other irritations. It's a way of trying to remove the source of the damage and begin healing. Does that clarify things?
In the cells next door called the microglia, in order to clean up the process. And now you've got plaques and an inflammation, and now you've got neuronal cell death. That's dementia. So it starts with an ATP energy crisis, moves through plaque and inflammation to generate neuronal cell death. Well, this is problematic to say the least. And by the way, anything that generates ROSs has been associated with Alzheimer's. Anything that increases ATP utilization, like stress, glucocorticoids, fever, autoimmune disease, also increases Alzheimer's. So anything that increases step 1, anything that increases step 2, ultimately leads to increased step 3 and Alzheimer's.
So to simplify this in a couple of sentences for someone that has no scientific understanding, and we're going to have to cut a few corners here scientifically in order for them to have a framework to understand it. How would you give me some sort of an analogy for it? Maybe in the context of, I guess, a petrol station in a car.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're basically doing petrol, we're talking energy only.
Yeah.
Okay. So, bottom line, your car runs on petrol. Okay. The petrol comes in, that's the glucose, and the engine, okay, powers pistons, and the pistons then power an axle, and the axle then powers wheels, and you go.
Yeah.
Okay. But there are a lot of things that have to go right for all of those things to happen. Like, for instance, your energy, the gasoline, has to get into the engine in the first place. What if you have carbon deposits on your intake manifolds? And if you have a problem with any one of those steps, you're going to end up with a jalopy instead of a sports car.
I mean, that's what we're seeing in the United States. Over 7 million Americans live with Alzheimer's, and this is expected to double to almost 13 million in the coming decades.
Indeed. Because we haven't solved the problem.
That's the mechanism. What is the cause?
Right. So we know that the cause is environmental.
Cause the environmental. What
Now,
kind of environmental cause?
People say, oh, Alzheimer's is genetic.
Alzheimer's is genetic.
Garbage. There is a genetic component to Alzheimer's. I'm not arguing that. There is. Okay? This is a thing called ApoE4.
Oh,
And if you have 2 copies of ApoE4
what kind of Alzheimer's, because it's just the type of illness, it's the environmental illness that can cause a lot of damage, like the thing.
Environmental insult refers to a harmful or damaging event or substance that occurs in the environment and can cause damage to living things. This could include things like pollution, toxins, or extreme temperatures that negatively impact the body. Does that help clarify the term?
On your genome. Your risk for getting Alzheimer's is 9 times the general population. That is absolutely true. I don't disagree with that. So ApoE4 is not a good thing. I'm not arguing that. Once upon a time in evolution, having 2 copies of ApoE4 was good because it meant you got fat up to your brain pretty fast. But we don't need that right now. That's kind of an old news kind of issue. People who have double doses of ApoE4 are at higher risk. There is absolutely no question about that. But they can mitigate that risk if they change their diet.
Mitigate. Just
Okay,
mitigate
they can eat
means
a
to
very low-fat
low,
diet
slow,
and
low fat. They can
improve their risk
improve
down
their
to
risk
the general
down to the
population.
general population.
Okay,
Okay.
everything else in Alzheimer's is not genetic.
Alzheimer's is not
By the way,
genetic.
that genetic component is only 5% of all Alzheimer's. So that means 95% of Alzheimer's risk is environmental. Now the question is, what in the environment?
What's the environment?
Well,
Well,
air pollution,
air pollution,
ionizing radiation,
ionizing radiation,
microplastics.
microplastics.
Okay? There's nothing you can do about any one of those three. That's baked into the cake.
That's a big.
You can't do anything about those today.
You cannot.
What other things? Sleep disordered breathing,
Disorders.
medications,
Medications.
ultra-processed food.
Processed food.
Okay, what about ultra-processed food?
What about ultra-processed?
Fructose, my favorite, hobby horse. The sweet molecule in sugar. Low omega-3s.
And he used hobby horse. Is it like, okay, so fructose? Oh, that's my favorite hobby horse. What does it mean, happy horse, in this context?
That's an interesting way to use it. In this context, hobby horse is likely referring to a topic or subject that the speaker is particularly interested in and tends to talk about frequently. It's like their pet subject or area of fascination. Does that make sense?
Yes, and another one is just baked in the context. What does it mean? Yeah, no.
When the speaker...
I'm sorry. Baked in the
Nowhere...
cake. Baked in the cake. Baked in the cake. What does it mean?
Ah, baked in the cake. In this context, it means that the topic or idea is already included or present in the discussion or situation they're talking about, much like how an ingredient is baked into a cake. It's not something new that needs to be added, but rather something that's already a part of it. Does that make the meaning clearer?
Yes, awesome. I was really curious, and I was like hesitating to make the conclusion because I was like, oh, it might be something like that, but I was like hesitating to ask, and that's what you really helped me, and I really have now full approved version of yourself, and to say that.
I'm glad I could help.
So
it's perfectly normal
fish,
to have those
eggs,
hesitations
chicken.
when trying to understand
Lack
new
of
concepts.
fiber.
Feel free to ask anything you're curious about. I'm here to help you explore
Presence
them.
of emulsifiers.
How can I assist you further?
Okay. B vitamins, lack of B vitamins, particularly B6, B12, folate. Okay. Those things are all associated with an increase in reactive oxygen species. You can manage those, you can mitigate those, thereby increasing mitochondrial function, increasing ATP generation, and preventing that cellular energy crisis so that you don't end up behind the 8 ball and you don't lose your neurons.
When people tell me that Alzheimer's is associated with having a sort of energy crisis in the brain, I'm increasingly hearing people talk about ketones. It's remarkable
And I just want to discuss about one thing. Alzheimer's, there's the symptom called called Alzheimer's. So in this part, doctor is just telling, and vast majority of the illnesses, people are just suffering from Alzheimer's is the 95% of from environmental problems. So, and only the 5% of them is genetics. It means he mentioned that to the interviewer. So you might highly bear the Alzheimer's in the disease already. Actually with the symptom you have, because of the environmental diseases, the unpredictable things. So additionally, so yes, we have a lot of those kind of stuff, like he mentioned what's really environment and what's really causing environment, he said. So one of them is, and just and just air pollution. We have a lot of depression in our world, and microplastics. We cannot, he said, you cannot like all of any of three of them. So, but and another one is processed food, processed ultra food, and like sugary things, and there are a lot of, he counted.
It's interesting that the doctor in the podcast claims that 95% of Alzheimer's cases are due to environmental factors, with only 5% being genetic. They mentioned air pollution, depression, microplastics, and processed foods as potential causes. Are you curious about any of those specific factors or the link they're drawing to Alzheimer's?
No, I'm just listening what he's talking about. But let's keep going until that finishes.
All right. Let me know if you have any questions about what you hear, or if you'd like to discuss any of these topics further. I'm here to help.
Improvement in cognitive performance that I feel when I'm fasted or I'm in a ketogenic diet. Whereas if I've been eating a lot of carbohydrates or sugar,